GBC President receives the head of Red Cross Committee. New Saudi attacks on various Yemeni government rates. The Ministry of Public Health and Population opens a new center to fight cholera epidemic. Good evening and welcome to Yemen Today's News. I'm Nasser Khamri. Former President of Yemen, GBC President Ali Abdullah Saleh, received the President of the International Committee of the Red Cross, Peter Maurer, and his accompanying delegation, who is currently visiting our country. The visit came to learn about the tragic humanitarian situation witnessed by Yemeni people and created by Saudi-led aggression under the US, UK and Israel support, in addition to the catastrophic consequences of the blockade imposed on Yemen's land, sea and air for more than 28 months. GBC President welcomed the visiting delegation, expressing his hope that this field visit to the country has enabled the ICRC President and his accompanying delegation to take a closer look at the reality of the tragic situation experienced by the Yemenis in the different provinces due to the aggression and siege and the internal fighting that was planned and funded by the Saudi money and weapon, hoping to kill more Yemenis and in the forefront their children, women, youth and elders, and injuring thousands of innocent civilians. Mr. Saleh pointed out that the unjust war on Yemen violated all international laws and covenants, particularly international humanitarian law. The visiting UN delegation that includes the CEO of World Health Organization, Dr. Theodorus Ghebreyesus, and CEO of UNICEF, Anthony Leak, and the CEO of World Food Programme, David Beasley, were briefed on the working level in Al-Hudaydah seaport and seen the size of damages affected the seaport by the bombardment of the Saudi warplanes. The delegation listened to detailed explanation about the damages that were hit by the Saudi-led coalition and resulted to the stop of the work in various platforms of the seaport, in addition to the suffering of the citizens due to the closure of the seaport. The delegation was accompanied by the governor of Al-Hudaydah, Hassan Al-Haj, who also briefed them on the stores that were hit, which were used as warehouse for storing food aid presented by international organizations.
This port was bombed just 2 years ago. It is devastating our ability to be able to get food in and access. And so donors from around the world, like the United States, put up the money. The World Food Program went and purchased the mobile cranes so that we could literally double the capacity of delivering food inside Yemen. Without those cranes, our capacity is really severely hampered. And so this is a critical port. 95% of all the food that we deliver to the innocent victims of war, literally 2/3 of the population of Yemen, almost 20 million people, are on the brink of starvation, on the brink of famine. So this port is critical. It must maintain openness and it must have all the equipment that it needs, like the cranes that we have already paid for. We have tried to bring them here. They've been blockaded. We're asking the Saudis to allow the cranes to be back in because it is critical on a humanitarian side. And here we are, the World Food Program, the World Health Organization, UNICEF, and other organizations are trying to help the innocent victims of war. And we ask any parties engaged in this conflict to respect humanitarian law, to respect the rights of innocent people, and give us the access that we need to provide the help that's needed.
The Saudi waged new series of attacks in Sa'da government raid north of Yemen. The Saudi jets hit with 2 raids in the public road in Parakan region of Razah district, destroying a citizen's car and leaving damages to the area. The Saudi warplanes waged 6 air raids on Al Abu Jabra Valley and Al Farah areas. The Saudi jets carried out 2 raids on Nehm district east of Sana'a amid heavy flight. The new Saudi raids came hours after similar attacks on the Boa area of Nehm, killing 1 woman and injuring others. It's worth mentioning that the Saudi warplanes wage regular attacks on Nehm district on daily basis. The Saudi warplanes resumed their attacks on Marib Governorate. The Saudi jets waged at least 6 air raids against various areas of Sarwah district south of Marib among intensive flight. The Saudi jets waged several air raids on many areas of Sarwah. The Saudi jets resumed its historical air raids against Hajjah Governorate northwest of Yemen. The Saudi jets waged at least 13 air raids on Harab and Midi districts amid heavy flight. The new raids came hours after several air raids on the same 2 districts. The Ministry of Health and Population opened a center and operation room in order to coordinate and contact with its efforts in all governorates of Yemen to a step to combat cholera epidemic in cooperation with the international organizations to follow the latest development about the deadly epidemic. More in this report.
Despite the difficult situation and shortage of medical equipment to combat cholera epidemic, the Health Minister opened a health centers and medical operations room to contact and coordinate with its offices and health centers on all governorates of Yemen to know the new developments in the outbreak of cholera epidemic.
كانت هناك عدد من الإجراءات المهمة لاجتثاث
There are a number of important procedures to fight and combat the outbreak of cholera epidemic. This is one step of group, which are the aerial warnings and data collection, in addition to the observation of cholera cases to treat them, and establishing a number of healthy centers on all governorates of Yemen. The international organizations such as UNICEF, the World Health Organization, and the Red Cross paid deep attention in the cooperation, which contributed effectively to find the medical operations room in spite of the dropping role of the United Nations represented in preventing recently access of medicines cargo that was supposed to reach to the hospitals of Yemen.
As you know, the latest data of the outbreak of acute watery diarrhea says that we have close to 400,000 cases and about 1,800 deaths. This is a serious crisis, and largely this is because of the current situation, the rising levels of malnutrition, the collapse in health and wash systems, water and sanitation. Many people don't have safe drinking water, which is really fueling this outbreak.
The Ministry of Health confirmed on the importance of the collective work on all the public sectors and the private cooperation from the charitable assemblies and donors to support the healthy centers to fight cholera epidemic. Actually, the cooperation should be collective to fight this epidemic, from the businessmen and charitable assemblies or ministries and corporations. Also, the great effort presented by the Health Ministry to combat this epidemic, but this support isn't adequate to prevent the outbreak of the deadly epidemic, which caused more than 1,825 death cases and more than 400,000 suspected cases, in which this scary outbreak threatens a humanitarian and health disaster.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, back to today's headlines. GBC President receives the head of Red Cross Committee. New Saudi attacks on various Yemeni governorates. The Ministry of Public Health and Population opens a new center to fight cholera epidemic. Thanks for watching. Good night.